This is the last day. That's the first thought that goes through your head that morning. Your third day of uploading content to the internet with the hopes of going viral. The thought races through your head again and again and again as your eyes slowly adjust to the morning sunlight. You would set that goal for yourself. 3,000 views, 3 days. And over the last 2 days, you had had some successful uploads, but not quite enough to reach your goal. Grabbing your camera and whatever necessary supplies, you head back to the diving bell to begin your descent to the old world, hoping that today you'll be able to record something that will really catch people's attention. And so, you descend one final time. While down in the old world, there are plenty of haunting sights to record, terrifying creatures to encounter, and mysterious architectural oddities that spark fascination and intrigue. You know that more than anything, however, people want to see the nightmares that call this place home. With that in mind, you slowly slink about this abandoned factory, lurking quietly around corners, constantly on the lookout for what sort of dangers you might encounter. Upon returning home after a long day of recording, wherein thankfully the worst you got of it was just a few skipped heartbeats, you throw your footage into the printer, recover the disc, and then upload your footage to SpookTube. You sit back and watch the premiere with bated breath. The reception was good, really good all things considered, and you watch as the view count climbs higher and higher, and more comments flood the screen. A thrill that just never seems to get old. As the video nears its end, however, you notice that the view count isn't rising as fast as it was before, and as the last final moments of the video come to an end, you look down at the total viewership and realize that you've just barely fallen short of your intended goal. With nothing else left to do, you admit defeat. You unceremoniously make your way up the stairs, lay down in bed, and eventually drift off to sleep. This is the point where the game chimes in. You then wake up in your bedroom, your first day of making content with the goal of reaching 3,000 views in 3 days. It is at this moment that the full weight of what you just read hits you, the totality of the impact of those words striking truer than anything else you've ever heard in your entire life. Because now, you realize the dark reality of content warning. Released on April 1st, 2024, Content Warning quickly found explosive success for 2 different, yet equally important reasons. The first major factor that played into its success was the fact that for the first 24 hours, the game was free to keep on Steam. And because word of mouth spread so quickly when it comes to indie titles, the game quickly racked up over 6 million downloads in its first 24 hours, after which it defaulted back to its original $8 price tag. That alone would have been a phenomenal success story, and one that we've been seeing a lot of recently with other indie titles such as Lethal Company and Palworld. However, the major difference that set Content Warning apart was the second element that made the game such a literal overnight success story. That being, its unique gameplay. Taking inspiration from, of all things, Ghost Hunter YouTube channels, Content Warning sees you and up to 3 friends descending from your idyllic garden home high above the clouds and down into the grim, desolate wasteland of the old world. The old world is dark, like actually hard to see in dark, and so it's difficult to see most things clearly. You'll either need to utilize your flashlight or the camera's recording light in order to make your way around the imposing factory. While exploring this monolithic structure, you'll encounter a variety of different oddities, such as massive machines still in operation, laser beams that seem to serve no practical function, and a veritable rogues gallery of creatures, including snailmen, stabby ghosts, and turret-mounted robots. Taking this footage back home with you, you and your friends then proceed to print and upload this footage to SpookTube with the hopes of earning enough views to meet your 3-day goal. These two factors, a brilliant day one marketing strategy, coupled with truly unique gameplay, resulted in people easily being able to pick up and recommend the game to others in order to have more people to play and record with. Not only that, but the game seemed perfectly curated for real-life content creators, as it provided plenty of opportunity for wacky and startling interactions in equal measure, which they could then showcase to their audiences. It also helped that, for many, the gameplay itself was so easily relatable to what many streamers and content creators themselves do for a job. This specifically, the relatability aspect, is what I want to talk about today, because for as much fun as I've been having with this game, I believe there's actually a deeper, much darker reality that the game is subtly trying to draw our attention to. One of the first things I took notice of while playing this game with my friends is the house itself. It's a modest home, living room, dining room, with the upstairs being a rest area for players where they can sleep and change their face types. The upstairs room specifically is what gave me pause though. 4 beds, all lined up in a row, color-coded for each player. When you take a moment to think about it, many people living in the same house, creating content together, you quickly realize that this house is actually a content creator house. Everyone that plays in each match is a content creator of some kind, whether it be as a cameraman or as an actor. They all have a role to play, and a vested interest in the content that's being made in order to reach your goal. You all live together, make content together, and succeed or fail together. With this in mind, we begin to think more critically about the space that we live in. Why are we seemingly suspended miles above the ground? Why is there a green screen set up in our backyard? Why are there solar panels and wireless recharge towers everywhere? The more questions we ask about the nature of the world we find ourselves in, the more pieces begin to fit into place, until we come to perhaps the most logical conclusion. We are already a successful content creator, or at least, someone believes we will be. Whether that be our parents, or a manager, or hell, even just us and our friends, someone has put a lot of faith and a lot of resources into us becoming successful and being able to make it as a content creator. We sit in a position of privilege, being able to dedicate our time and energy to pursuing our dreams of becoming successful and profitable as a content creator. And profitable, we surely can be. As is actually said in the trailer for the game, getting more views earns you more money, which means you can use that money to get more equipment to make your production better, potentially leading to more views, which means more money. Funds earned from views going straight back into the business in order to get more views. The exact same cycle we see employed by real-world content creators. When we frame the game setting this way, the garden home being the idyllic content creator house, what does that make the old world below? Well, that's our world. The real world. The old world is, as I described, dark, dull, void of color, filled with horrifying creatures, eager and capable of harming and, in some cases, outright ending our career. Being taken out by one of these nightmares results in the loss of our camera, and as a result, any potential views for the day. The old world is the world that we as our character originally came from, a world that we no longer recognize, almost completely alien from where we find ourselves in the game now. So much so that even the air we used to breathe so easily now no longer sustains us. We know this world used to be our home at one point because while watching our footage back at the end of each day, we'll occasionally receive comments like, "Is that follower Toshi?" insinuating one of two things. The first being that we are either from a well-known content creation group, or that we were at one point a memorable figure from the old world, like old high school friends who still remember us. The factory itself, the carcass of a world even older than that of the old world, similar to many abandoned buildings in cities across the United States. Structures once the marvel of their time, now just the backdrop for ghost hunter or urban exploration channels. The monsters we find down there, representative of the dangers that both new and old content creators face. Some more so distractions that will attempt to derail our progress, others just meant to bother or toy with us, and others still outright hostile by nature, single-minded in ending our ambitions to try to make it in this truly life-threatening industry. Now, admittedly, when I say life-threatening, I'm speaking in a metaphorical sense. 9 times out of 10, the physical well-being of those involved in content creation are not at any great risk. However, the content creators themselves do put their livelihoods, their personalities, their mental statuses on the line time and time again, gambling with each upload. While the clever and the experienced content creators take steps to make sure that each post or video has the highest chances of success, not everyone has the toolkit to adjust to this sort of lifestyle. This is where the real horror of content warning can be found. In 2019, the Harris Poll, on behalf of the Lego Company, conducted a survey of children age 8 to 12 years old from different parts of the United States, United Kingdoms, and China, asking them a range of questions related to space, space exploration, and the sorts of jobs they would want when they grow up. To bury the lead here, the vast majority of kids surveyed were interested in space exploration, could identify Neil Armstrong as the first man to walk on the moon, and believed that humans would be capable of interstellar travel at some point in the future, so nothing shockingly detrimental for the future of humanity. However, one statistic did stand out as being noteworthy, as just under 1/3 of the children surveyed expressed an interest of some kind in content creation, this number being lowest with Chinese children and higher with British children. This statistic, however, is the reference point we need to realize the true reality of what content warning is trying to convey to us on a narrative level. As one of the privileged few poised to make a living off of making internet content, our viewership is the lifeblood of our career. If we don't get enough views, we fall out of relevancy, we are forgotten, and our dreams are crushed. To this end, we either increasingly put ourselves in dangerous situations to earn more views, or push the extreme when it comes to the attention-drawing antics. We're also forced to compromise on our artistic potential. Whereas we can use these 90 seconds in some sort of creative way, telling a story or creating something that we think is entertaining or interesting ourselves, more often than not, they just don't earn as many views. And as we covered already, no views, no career. We are forgotten, just like the old world. Luckily for us, it was only a bad dream. I don't truly believe that the makers of content warning set out to tell this grand meta story about the psychological hardships that content creators experience on a day-to-day basis. They just wanted to make a goofy game where you make silly videos with your friends to earn money. It is this, I think, where the real message of content warning can be found. YouTube back in the day was a lawless land where almost any kind of content could be found. It was a place of kickflips, backyard wrestling, and random uploads of people just having fun. While, yes, it is still that today, the introduction of a monetized incentive program for creators has, over the years, dulled the website a bit. It's taken the edge off. In many ways, this has been a good thing, but in others, it's corporatized the entire process. A while back, the biggest YouTuber on the platform, Mr. Beast, sat down and did an interview with well-known podcaster Lex Friedman, wherein Jimmy talks about many different aspects of being a content creator. But one thing that stood out to me was that almost every hour of every day of his life, he spends working on content. And if he's not working on content, he ends up in a bad place mentally. This, in and of itself, got many people talking about the actual worth of becoming a content creator. Is all that attention worth the strain on your mentality? Is it worth giving up so much of your time and effort to something that only a percentage of people will find true success with? And I'm not talking about becoming a millionaire or anything. I'm talking about just being able to pay your bills, make it your day job, and still lead a somewhat normal life? And on top of that, because the system is more corporatized, is it worth giving up your creative aspect? When does it become something you do instead of something you enjoy? For many people, things don't work out. Our dreams get crushed, the world forgets about us, and we start over. And yet, at the same time, content warning is trying to remind us of something that we might have forgotten. Something that we were too focused on subscribers, view counts, and the algorithm as a whole to take the time to truly appreciate. It's the people in those beds beside us, the ones that help us create our videos, the people that love and support us, our friends, our family, and more so than anything else, just the simple love of creating for the sake of creating. Content creation nowadays is structured in such a way as to feed the algorithm, stifling our creative potential and rewarding the most outrageous and attention-grabbing content. How often these days do creators, both big and small, get to find success in making content that they themselves truly enjoy and are passionate about making, and not just something that helps to feed the algorithm? The best part of playing content warning isn't when we hit that 3,000 view goal in 3 days. It's being with our friends, having fun, making memories and creating content that brings us joy. Because even if we try our best and still fall short, so long as we had fun, we'll soon come to realize that all the hardship and all the stress we experienced along the way was only a bad dream. Ow, God. All right, everybody, last words. Who's gonna do it for the vine?
Let's fucking go.
Let's go.
Where you just went. Toshi just fell in the hole again.
Unprofessional.
Ah!
Oh, God, that thing's fast.
We found a skull. What's his name? Quick.
Bernard.
Whoa. What the hell is that? Oh, it's the little ghost critter. Run. There he is. Hello, little guy. Yeah, he's just fucking running around being silly. What a little goof. Well, both my friends are dead. We saw a spooky ghost, and I'm going home. But shut up! I'm recording Sunflower.